Non-vascular edema, mechanical drainage of non-vascular edema, and end-range loading works very well for geriatrics. Geriatrics, who's a geriatric, who's not a geriatric? I'm talking about people who are somewhat wheelchair-bound, or perhaps they're in a home. And their posture, they sit flexed, they sit in a wheelchair, or they sit on their chair, and they just get more and more and more into the flexed position. And this fluid kind of shifts within their discs, and which shifts within their muscles, and kind of becomes static there and in a flexed position. If we can just bring them into some kind of an extension and start to shift that fluid around so they straighten up, it's a tremendous, tremendous sense of relief. The good thing about working with geriatrics is you can pretty well do it where they are, either in the wheelchair or on the bed or beside the bed or in the chair. Here's a geriatric. So I'll have you just crossing your arms like this. So you normally should be curved right forward. What I'm going to do is just start introducing some extension into her spine. Very gentle, and I start just working up the spine. And they'll say, that feels so good, that feels so good. I just start very gentle. Okay, and I'll get underneath like this now. Okay. Mid-thoracics kind of extending, going up into the higher thoracics. Now with our model here, we see we're being able to extend the shoulder somewhat. In geriatric, we might not be able to extend the shoulders because of degeneration in there. We do a little bit of it. We do somewhat, though, to their level of tolerance. They'll let us know. And of course, the communication with the patient is utmost importance because they let us know. You'll find when you're doing this procedure, they'll start to straighten up quite remarkably, right in front of your eyes. And so then there's a new end range. We can go further and further with them. We don't want to introduce too much force, though, because we know there's demineralization happening in the bone. We know the ribs are probably soft. Maybe some compression fractures or latent compression fractures in the upper thoracic spine. They're older people. They're not moving around that much. It's kind of a deconditioned syndrome. Yeah, let's go again. You can see I can go quite low, right from the thoracolumbar area. This is all you need. They can be sitting in the chair or on the side of their bed. When you're finished, you'll feel wonderful. A lot of these geriatrics have a very forward head posture. Suppose they're in a wheelchair. Okay, let's have you take a seat in the wheelchair. Okay, you can cross your arms again. Let's turn this way for the camera. So if you notice the fulcrum of the chair, I'll just put a blanket here for you. Let me put this blanket down. Okay, fine. You notice the extension that's starting to happen? Thoracolumbar. I'm sorry. Cervical thoracic. I'm just going to bring the head in towards me. Very careful with the jaw. So you have dentures, have to be careful with that. So I'm tractioning and bringing the head. I'm not bringing the neck back that way, just this way, because I want the fulcrum to work in. I want the action to take place in here. The wheelchair would be a little higher than this. Most chairs would be a little higher than this. Let's just have you scoot down a little bit. There you are. There. That's good. So she's a little higher now. And then just, her head's against my stomach, and I just kind of lift my body up. Start very slow. You okay? Mm-hmm. Range of motion was going to increase with that as well. Of course, we're observing their response all the time. Shoulder. Rotator cuff, shoulder tendon. Just turn this way a little bit. In the chair. So I want to stretch the rotator cuff, so I'm holding the elbow down and then pulling the head of the humerus in this direction. Stretching the rotator cuff. Stretching the rotator cuff. Stretching the rotator cuff. Shoulder problem, rotator cuff problem. It's just variation of the other tendon procedures, the other rotator cuff tendon procedures I showed you before. Same thing with the extensor tendon. You can do it in the chair. Low back problems, spinal stenosis problems, they can stay in their bed. You can do the procedure right there in their bed. Just have you lying on your bed. So I'm actually on the bed, or I'm on my knees, and just very gently pull up. If they're very light or their hips start to come off, I might have the nurse or a helper just hold, extend your knees. Just maybe very gently hold them down here. Pressure on, pressure off. Always get into response. With older people, they have to be careful with the skin. They're on Coumadin or warfarin. We've got to be very careful about bruising in the skin. We might want to have a sock on, or you might want to do the other procedure. So I'm not really hurting the ankle that much. These simple procedures, with the idea of shifting the fluid or opening up the foramen, it makes a remarkable difference for a lot of people in these senior homes. They're in a wheelchair. Particularly when you can straighten that spine up. It's like their breathing is better, they're happier, posture, the balance is improved in my opinion, and it improves the quality of their life. So it's a really, really a great return on your investment. For a half hour or 15 minutes of your time, it can change them for maybe a week.